currently in the police department budget. Board of Safety voted 4-1 in favor of promoting Jake Huppenthal to the rank of corporal. I would like to present to you Jake Huppenthal and pin him to this new rank of corporal.
Make sure it just goes through the shirt, Chief.
That's right. Done it a couple. Council, I'd like to present to you Corporal Jake Huppenthal.
You like our ugly mugs out of the way?
Yeah, get in front of the logo, Chief. Come in front of the logo, maybe, guys. So symmetry is important.
One, two. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Nice job.
Next, we have a special presentation from Chief Fisher on placemaking pier. Says placemaking.
Not police making. That's what it sounded like you said.
This is a placemaking item. Well, those are the newfangled government words of building stuff. If you go to an AIM conference, Tim, that's all you hear is about placemaking. Yep.
All right. Once again, good evening, Council. I'm here to present the pier bids or the quotes that we received for the new pier for the town grounds. This project obviously is in partnership with the Cedar Lake Town Council, Police and Fire, Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and the Cedar Lake Historical Association. Can you hit the slide, Martha? Just click it. There you go. One more time. Obviously, we are seeking two bids. One is for the town grounds. The other is for the Bartlett Wahlberg Park. Go ahead. Here's a brief timeline of what we've done so far. March 1st, we had our first meeting. March 5th, I submitted an application to the DNR Water Division. March 9th, we received notice from the Water Division. They received our application, and we had to send out notification to the adjoining properties, letting them know that we're extending the pier out by 30 feet. We received our quotes on March 16th. March 17th, we had a Parks Committee meeting where we discussed the whole thing. That's where the Parks Committee recommended that we expand it to 6 foot versus the 4 foot wide pier. And then on March 22nd, we received certified mail back from the property owners that they had received the proposed pier. And then on in May of 2021, our goal is to have the pier installation to begin and be completed by the end of May, obviously depending on any delays from the factory. Next slide, please. Here's some features that we were requesting. It's a public and a municipal pier, 200 foot long, 6 foot wide. This is for the one on the park side or in the town ground side. That is an additional 30 foot to what we currently already use out there. Total of 8 slips, 4 public slips and 4 public safety slips for police, fire, and DNR. It is all ADA accessible. hand railing included, and ADA, what's called curbing, goes along the side of the pier to make sure if someone is in a wheelchair and they're on that. She can type. Somebody's on that pier, that it won't go off. We can't come off.
Professional reporter, Bill.
Yes. Boat lift canopies, dock boxes and dock bumpers along with cleats, some benches, solar lighting, flagpoles, signage for no jumping, diving or fishing, delivery, assembly and installation. You can hit the slide again. This is kind of a photo. Of course, it was still a frozen lake out there. So it's going to extend in the same location our current pier is at. There was some discussion back and forth about moving it over to the other sidewalk. But due to some depth issues, we concurred that we would keep it in the same location that we have. I requested quotes from Sunrise Pier, Pinecrest Marina, and Deaton's Pier out of Fortville, Indiana. To date, we only received 2 quotes from Sunrise Pier as well as Pinecrest Marina. Deaton's has been contacted on multiple occasions, but has yet to return anything to either myself or DNR officer Miglafoli, better known as Terry. Most of you guys know her. Next slide. Sunrise Pier quoted Sunrise Pier quoted a pier made from a company called Finer Boat Lifts and Docks in Perry, Michigan. Pinecrest quoted a pier made from the company called Shore Station in Ida Grove, Iowa. There are 2 main differences in the pier. Go back for me. There are 2 main differences in the pier. First off, the Finer piers are designed with hand railing. The pier is actually designed with hand railing, so it's not something you have to make, whereas Shore Station does not come with hand railing. They would have to manufacture it and modify it on site to make hand railing. And then the other one was, and I'll say this, if Pinecrest felt it wouldn't be an issue, but the issue was that pier does not come with hand railing, period. The other point is that Finer Pier has a less of a footprint versus the Shore Station. And what I mean by that is I actually have some handouts I can show you guys of what the piers actually look like. Only got one book from one, so. The larger book here is Finer on there, and this is Shoreline, so you guys can look through those real quick, just look at them. But the Finer Pier itself has a less of a footprint, meaning there's more open space for heat purposes when the sun's beating down on the pier itself. Okay, so that's what we liked about that. The other thing that when I had a brief conversation with Sunrise was that the Finer Pier also comes in the sections actually have only a 12-foot gap in between, where most of the other ones come with 16 and 24-foot gaps. So it's a 12-foot on center, for lack of better terms, for their supports.
12-inch.
12-inch. That's what I meant. Yes. Thank you, sir. The installation costs for the both Sunrise Pier is about $7,200 for install and pickup every year. That's $3,600 in spring, $3,600 in fall. Pinecrest doesn't actually do it. They contract out to L2 lake maintenance. Their cost installation and removal is $8,000 per year, $4,000 in the spring and $4,000 in the fall. Next slide. I also requested quotes from the same 3 for Bartlett Wahlberg Park. This pier from the park board decided to be about 100-foot long. They also decided that they wanted it to be more of a kayaker style pier where citizens could launch a kayak off the pier itself. To date, I've only received 1 quote. I do expect to get a second one from Pinecrest, but I haven't received it yet. The quote for that pier is about $13,880 with an additional $960 per year to install and remove every year. And that pier itself is a 4-foot section versus the 6-foot wide section because it's in a smaller location. So after reviewing the quotes, having some conversation with the Councilman Miller and as well as the park board, it would be my recommendation that we go with the bid from Sunrise, which is the Finer Pier. It has a little bit more of a cost of $125,000 versus the $121 from Pinecrest, but I think we're getting more bang for the buck from that pier. Pardon?
You're getting rails.
Yeah, hand railing where they don't have to modify something to fix it, to put it up. So now that cost is the top dollar. We definitely will have some costs coming off of it because as you guys remember, the Historical Association received a very large, nice grant where they can purchase some of the items for the pier itself, including some signage, the flagpoles, the benches, all that stuff.
Some solar lights.
Solar lights, because at the end, it's going to be about 30 feet by about anywhere from 16 to 24 feet wide for people to go out and sit on the pier at nighttime. So they'll be able to go out there, see that, watch the sunset, or even better, on the public side, they'll be able to turn around and actually view the front of the historical building, which is the big push there for their launch. I believe it's in July, right?
May 7th.
May 7th is their,
You should talk about the
They're-
steamboat.
I'm talking about the
Oh, the
steamboat.
steamboat. Yeah,
Steamboat's
that's
in July, right?
Right.
So
steamboat's in July.
that's
They're
our
big one.
recommendation. I think Mr. Miller's good with that too, but we really need to push forward on one of the two. Are there any questions?
I think one other thing, the Historical Association is going to do the signs and that. And after talking with Pinecrest, they suggested that the day we put the pier in, we put a sign on it, no fishing.
Yes.
They don't want people, he doesn't think it'd be a good idea to have the public fishing off of the pier because of the kids' swimming area right next door. And then when you get down further, you got the boats and the hooks and all of that getting caught right on the pier. So we wanted to put the no fishing signs, right from the get-go.
And I agree with the urgency on this because I know that we're gonna need to get it installed,
Mhm.
set up, because in order to get the steamboat in here, that has to be there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would like to make sure that it's installed because not just my boat, but Chief Wilking's boat needs to get put in the lake pretty soon because as you can see, the lake's wide open now. So they're actually having some training coming up, which is really good, but we can't get our boat in until until the pier's in for dive purposes. So we need it for public safety as well.
Okay. The recommendation from the chief on the placemaking pier by the Historical Association, was that recommendation also include the pier at Bartlett Wahlberg?
I would recommend we do the same exact one, same company. They'll do the same thing and install everything. I think we should use both of them. Correct, sir.
When was Pinecrest asked to get?
2 weeks ago.
Bartlett, did you give them a deadline?
I told everybody that I wanted to hear by this meeting, April
see.
6th.
And due to the fact that the one pier, while it's a little more costly, offers a little better safety, considering that it's a public pier, and I'm sure our attorney would agree from a liability standpoint, the more safety mechanisms you have, the better. I think that that's a no-brainer to go with the one that's a little bit safer and a little more money.
Did everybody get to see the handout or the pamphlets on them? So,
Yeah, I did. They're pretty nice.
yeah, they're both beautiful piers. Don't get me wrong.
Is there a motion by the council on a recommendation of chief for both Bartlett Wahlberg Park and for the Historical Association location public pier?
I'll make a motion.
Is that motion to approve based on the chief's recommendation?
Yes, motion to approve based on chief's recommendation.
Thank you. There's a motion by Ms. Sheehan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Are there questions or discussion?
I just have one question. Sunrise will be able to have this installed in the timeline required,
Yes, sir. Yes.
barring no
If
unforeseen.
we would have had the bids done at the last meeting, which was a little bit tight for us, he would have had the pier in by the 1st of May.
Gotcha.
5 to 6 weeks delivery time as of right now for it to be built.
And again, the town's portion of this will be from park impact fee monies.
Gotcha.
Any other questions or discussion?
We
Well-
just want to thank you. You did a lot of work on this.
Yeah.
Thank you. My staff helped me out a lot.
We didn't know that you were doubling as a parks facilities expert, but it's appreciated, chief.
It's nice, something that Deputy Chief Brittingham has worked on several times because our current pier is pretty out of date.
Well,
We
People
struggle
don't know
with it, so-
Deputy Chief Brittingham doubles as a barge maintenance
He
specialist.
does, he
So,
does, yes.
One last question, chief. The blue is the side that you're putting the.
That's law enforcement police side.
Yeah,
or
and
law
correct
enforcement
me
fire
if
side.
I'm, I know a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I asked, hey, why not flip flop that because the kids are over here swimming on this side? Why not have the boats on the same side? And the answer was,
We kept it on that side for two reasons. One's a little deeper, but our lifts will stay in the water and they don't come in and out very often where you're gonna have people on that side. If they're on that
That's
side, they're
right.
gonna try to go around those.
that seemed
those-
logical.
Yeah, those slips, if they're full, and they'll go try to anchor up to the pier. So we keep them on the opposite side from the
Safety standpoint.
sandbox. Then
It's a beach.
No, it's called the Sandbox. Found that
Okay,
out.
thank you for answering that. I couldn't remember.
It's a beach.
So that's why we kept it on that side.
That's logical.
Any other questions or
Thank you.
discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes,
Colin Sheehan.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, chief. We have public comment on agenda items. Any public comment on agenda items? Third call for public comment on agenda items. Public comment is closed. We have our consent agenda, the minutes of the March 2nd, 2021, March 16th, 2021, and March 23rd, 2021 public meetings. Use and fee waiver requests. Sandra Hune is requesting a waiver from the no alcohol policy to serve mimosas at her daughter's wedding shower at the clubhouse on July 18, 2021. And Jacqueline DeAndre, Exit Realty Operation Combat Bike Saver fundraiser requesting use and fee waiver for town grounds, 7/10 and 7/11, 2021. Do we know, Rick, is that going to be any conflict with Summerfest's window of use?
No, sir, we don't believe it will.
Okay. And then we have the claims, all town funds, $143,432.05. Wastewater operating, $59,825.17. Sewer sinking, $421,400. Water utility, $26,165.34. Stormwater, $60,784.25, and payroll for March 18, 2021 and April 1, 2021 of $508,413.59. Is there a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes and accept the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Are there questions or discussion?
Yes, in the claims, I saw that we had fire services, and I'm assuming they resurfaced all of our fire extinguishers. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
yes,
Colin Sheehan.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinances and resolutions. Item 1 is ordinance 1380, amending the shelter fees and Monastery Woods Clubhouse fees. Ordinance is still in progress. See fees highlighted in yellow. I believe Mr. Miller, Ms. Sheehan, and Mr. Sharp met with Mr. Everly to discuss this. So if you would like to present on this agenda item on ordinance 1380, since there's no ordinance prepared, this could be a discussion item.
As indicated, I believe you should have a copy of, in your packet, the letter about 3 or 4 pages in,
Mhm.
highlighted fees. The committee decided that from a certain point on, once the ordinance is adopted, there will be no waiving of fees for nonprofits. Nonprofits are going to pay $50, period. So you won't be entertaining requests like you had just a minute ago for waiver of fees. The resident rate for the clubhouse would be $125 for the day, with a cleaning deposit of $200, and the non-resident rate would be $200 for the day, with the same refundable $200 cleaning deposit. And then for the facilities here on the town grounds, the Lions Den, once again, the nonprofits would pay the $50 minimum. And then the Lions Den would rent for $100, the gazebo $75, Cardinals Roost $50, bandstand $250, Eagles Nest $100, and total town grounds, if you're renting everything, would be $500. And I'm sorry, I misspoke on that. The nonprofits would pay 50% of those fees for the grounds rentals, not the $50.
Okay. Any other discussion items in that meeting?
yeah. When we looked into it, we were looking at like the clubhouse rentals, and it was costing us money every month at the clubhouse. We were losing money on the rentals, so we had to come up with a better structure. By the time we paid to have it cleaned and paid the electricity and all of that, we were losing money, so.
We were far and away the least expensive option for people to rent the clubhouse or the town facilities. And we've had a couple of people since that have come into the town hall that have acknowledged that, and that we're just the lowest price in town. And it's kind of hurting our organizations like the Eagles and American Legion in terms of renting their halls. We're just too low. So we need to bring those up. We did, Margaret in my office did a lot of this work. She checked on all the local municipalities around here to see what they're charging, as well as the places like I just mentioned. And so we're bringing those up to those prices up to a more competitive price compared to what's in our surrounding area.
What about the discussion point about the rent being charged for the apartment?
That's another line item that's coming down further in your agenda.
Okay,
It's down further on your agenda.
thank you. So when can we expect the ordinance ready for consideration?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Give me on your next agenda.
Okay,
Need
since
a
it's,
motion to defer?
yeah. that's what
I'd
we
like to
would
make a motion to
No,
defer
no.
ordinance number 13A discussions.
need. Motion by Mr. Foreman for deferral. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan.
Okay,
Ralph, discussion?
I have a question. I was in town hall yesterday, and we're waiting to rent things out until we get the ordinance passed?
Right. Yes, that's true, yes. We're booked pretty solid in the clubhouse this year anyway, but we had someone, for example, that wanted to rent the
For
clubhouse
2022.
next year.
Got it.
And we advised her that we don't want to take any money yet until the council acts on this ordinance, so.
Okay.
Once you do, then we'll have the fees set.
All right. Any other questions, discussion on the motion? Motion is to defer. Roll call vote.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. BZA Plan Commission is Feege. Special Use Variance 13934 Pickett Way. Note is a favorable recommendation from BZA to operate a home base FFL Federal Firearms License, allowing the transfer of firearms to individuals and do minor gunsmithing work. Mr. Eberly?
These next two items, Mr. President, I would ask that the council defer until next month. We had an issue with getting the BZA minutes to Mr. Austin in time for him to prepare the certification. So I would ask you to defer it to 2 weeks to your next meeting.
So both number 1 and number 2.
Yes, sir.
So move.
The motion by Mr. Carnahan to defer the feed special use variance and the hen use variance. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Questions or discussion?
I just had a question. The 13934 Pickett Way, it's not ringing a bell. Is that Lynn's Way?
Centennial.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I listened to that last BZA meeting and it looked like it was pretty well. A lot of details on item number 1, especially a lot of questions, but it looks like completely legit and safe. So that's
That
good.
gentleman was very well prepared.
Yes, I saw that with all of it. Everybody was pretty prepared. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Both items will be on the next council agenda 2 weeks from today. New business is 2021 Garbage and Recycling Bid Award. Mr. Eberly.
Mr. President, we received an email, I believe it was yesterday, from Mr. Doug Rosenbaum, who is here with us this evening. Mr. Austin he can speak for himself in a moment, but I don't believe he had a chance to review a couple of changes that the Public Services proposed to the contract. It was, the primary change was, had to do with hazardous wastes and their desire to not, if they recognize a hazardous waste at the curbside, they would not pick that up. They would notify the town of the issue, but then, or notify us to let us know that they didn't pick up the garbage for that reason. But there was some other language in in that section saying that if they picked it up inadvertently, didn't realize it was a hazardous material until after they got it back to the, I guess, the transfer facility, that there would be some effort to go back after the party who put the hazardous waste in the garbage to help get them to pay for the proper disposal of that. And I know Dave wanted to review that in particular.
Yeah, as presented, it's not acceptable. I've talked to Doug Rosenbaum. Doug's here. There he is. I talked to him last night and mid-afternoon today. I need to review this and counsel you on it and visit with Mr. Rosenbaum. Or his attorney. This is a legal item.
Believe that's illegal experts then.
Well, that would, yeah, okay.
I would also like to lift up, and you're quite aware that televisions will not be picked up by a garbage service.
In general, electronics are illegal in the state of Indiana.
Where can you dispose of
At
old
Public
televisions?
Works,
Okay,
Solid Waste District as well has numerous drop sites throughout the county.
Got it.
which ours being Cedar Lake Public Works is one of them.
I'd also like to mention that a request was made by me to consider how the formulation of the rate over the 6-year structure would be done, and I appreciate you working on that and getting that done and giving us an opportunity to keep things as steady and predictable for our residents as possible. So thank you very much, Doug, for that consideration.
Mr. President, I was going to make the same comment as well. I appreciate Doug's effort on that, but I want to make it clear to the council that what is in front of you or what is being presented to you is a 6-year contract. It's not a 2-year contract with options to extend. It is a 6-year contract. So just so you're aware of that.
And-
That's why they were able to adjust.
And that
those
includes
rates.
every other week recycling,
Yes,
so bigger recycling totes. And I guess that's really the only change, right, Doug?
Correct.
Okay,
now, Mr. Rosenbaum, I believe you said you are going to need about 6 weeks lead time to get those totes, correct?
That would be correct.
Right, and as you know, right, and as you know, the contract comes to an end June 1st, so it's going to be pretty critical that we hit that April 20th, 2 weeks, and be able to approve, you be able to act on the contract.
okay,
Mr. President,
yes, sir.
I would expect we will meet that deadline.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Austin. Is there a motion by the council to defer this item to the
So
April?
moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan, April 20 meeting? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes,
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer?
Yes, motion carries. Item is deferred. We're going to have a busy
yeah.
meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you again, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Item 2 is the CBBEL proposal for full-time observation of the 129th Avenue project. Mr. Eberly.
Yes, Mr. President, as you know, that's an intersection improvement project on 133rd, I'm sorry, that is the observation of the 129th
Mhm.
project. You just signed those contracts tonight, we're getting them to NDOT tomorrow. This will be for that community crossing grant program, or project connecting 129th from 41 to Parish. It's a reconstruction project actually with some curb and gutter work and some stormwater work involved as well, correct?
Turn lane on 41 too?
not, I asked Jill that question today, and I guess, I don't know what's going on with the property. I guess there's been no property acquisition for that as of yet. But I was also, I thought that Don said at a previous time that the turn lane was they were incorporating.
With the NDOT?
into the 41
Okay.
project or something, so I think that's what he realized.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Right, we're still keeping that on NDOT's radar for that.
Yeah, it's needed. There's,
Yeah,
and if that other proposed development were to occur, it just adds to
correct.
the influx, let alone the north end of Monastery Woods ever being purchased by someone from the bank. That's all single-family homes potentially. So,
Right.
thank you.
Mr. President, John, do we need to acquire the right out that's on the Mihailovich property?
Well, we talked about it at one time, but that was prior to us knowing that the state was going to move so quickly with their aggressive plans for widening US 41. So
Is that holding up the development of the single family?
I do not know that answer. I don't think so. 2023 or 2024 is the kickoff of that, right?
Correct.
So it's essentially a couple years down the road. So
It was scheduled for 2022, but then it got extended 2024.
right. You know, we might want to. I don't know what it would do to this project. The last thing we want to do is slow it down. Some other community will sneak in our time slot. So I would say
But not having the parcel might also impact
the future abilities to,
timing.
Yeah.
And construction development.
right. It could. Something for another day discussion to perhaps get prior to them
Sounds like.
doing what they need to do on the US 41 corridor.
What's the timeline for getting this done to exhaust the community crossing grant money?
Well, we have a year to do that, but we expect the project to be done by the end of summer. Yeah. it's ready.
It's shovel ready. I'd like to, if I may, Mr. President, make a motion to approve the proposal for full-time observation 129th Avenue project.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? I have discussion. The total amount on that is $94,750. I want to make sure that was clarified for the record. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben. Yes. Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Year 2021 police vehicles, Chief Fisher.
This is from the recommendation that you asked Ms. Sandberg for her 3 quotes at the last meeting for her purchase agreements, and she went with Demont State Bank as they have the 2.29%. So we're ready to go. Those 4 cars ordered. And then we went ahead with the purchase of the grants that we received for the, what's the name of that grant? For the hybrid cars. So we received that grant in October for the hybrid vehicles. So we got those orders placed. They're about 14 weeks out just from the factory. So we're getting 1 Ford Explorer for the fire department, in fire engine red, and then a Ford Escape. So
That is for the total amount of $167,202.50, and that's for 3 Dodge Durangos and 1 Dodge Ram 1500. Demont State Bank at 2.29%. Were cars considered in this instead of trucks and Durangos?
well, the problem with the cars right now is that they decided that the Dodge decided to change over the all-wheel drives to the 6 cylinders and then increase the 6-cylinder cost. So we could get a Durango for a couple $1,000s more, which has a lot more room in it. With the amount of equipment my guys are carrying now, the laptops and everything in the cars, they need the space. So that's why we decided to go with that.
How many SUVs and trucks do we have currently?
Half the fleet probably. But the ones we're replacing are ones that are pushing 90,000 miles. So we have several that are pushing 90,000 miles, which are SUV, or the Ford Explorers, 2015s and 16s.
Okay, I just thought that maybe cars could have been considered because every dollar counts in like future purchases, so.
Sure. My thought process, Mr. President, on it was that, first, we have snow here, so we need four-wheel drive. 2 years ago, we went with the all-wheel drive, Dodge Chargers, which were perfect. But they decided to change it because of the public's view of purchasing a 6-cylinder versus an 8-cylinder, to put the all-wheel drive inside the 6-cylinder and then raise the price. The 6-cylinder is actually more expensive than the rear-wheel drive 8-cylinder now. And so for a couple $1,000s more, we could actually get the SUV, which has got way more space in there, and it's particularly trunk space to keep all of their equipment. So.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council, the recommendation of Demont State Bank of 2.29% for the equipment purchase of $167,202.50?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. One other note, Chief Fisher, in the future, when these vehicles are being discussed, although this is the fiscal body, could you please have these discussions and opportunities to vet and talk about equipment purchases with the Public Safety Board?
With the Board of Safety?
Yeah.
Oh, we did discuss it.
Okay, they feel like they were kind of left out of the loop of these purchases.
We did discuss it with them. They asked about it. Every meeting, I informed them that where we're standing, what we're waiting on, all of that stuff.
I think they want to be in the early stages of the discussion. Like not just be presented, here's what we're buying, more of a, hey, let's talk about future equipment purchases. Let's take a look at things. Kind of a collaboration.
Yeah, when I presented it to them, I presented to them what I wanted to purchase or present to you guys, and my reasons behind it, what I just explained to you. So maybe there's some miscommunication. I'll try to clear that up.
Okay, thank you. Item 4 is Monastery Woods Clubhouse Apartment Rental Agreement. Mr. Everly.
Mr. President, the subcommittee met on this matter, and as you may recall, at the last meeting, we were set to, or the council was set to potentially act on this lease agreement, and it was thought that we needed to revisit the amount that is charged on a monthly basis. So per the subcommittee's recommendation, the amount would go from $500 a month to $600 a month with a new term of the lease. That was the only change to the contract that you had in front of you at your last meeting.
Okay, so I'll ask the obvious question, why? What?
Because it's been $500 a month for, I'm told, 15 years or more. We pay the utility bill for the whole building, so the town pays that, the renter does not pay that. So the feeling was just 15 years later, granted it's a 20% increase now, but over 15 years, that's less than 1% a year. So I think that, I'll let the members of the committee speak for themselves, but I think that was the feeling.
Ralph?
We thought it was just too much. We were talking about maybe going up to the 600 and having a separate NIPSCO bill there. And then we thought that would be too much work to have two of the different NIPSCO bills. And just with the cost of living and everything, $600 we thought was still a good deal.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on the recommendation for the residential lease agreement cost going from $500 to $600?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion?
I just think $100 is kind of a big jump, and I don't know the renters, but to give, that
But
much.
With
maybe
utilities included, it's a
50,
pretty good deal.
but
Yeah, but
I'm sure it is.
It's like $300 a month.
It's still a big.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
How long's the lease for?
Year.
Like 1 year? Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
the next time this review is had, it may be advisable for the committee or the council to do a rent roll check in the area. The real estate industry has data about all that. At least, help provide some additional information and perhaps some guidance, assistance.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
No.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
No, motion carries 5-2. Item 5 is farm lease agreement, Huseman Farms. Mr. Austin.
Annual agreement with the farmer for our 114 acres.
Same as last year.
Yes.
Thank you.
A motion by the council on the Huseman farm lease of the town-owned 114 acres at 1510 Parish Avenue.
I'd like to make a motion to defer. I know it might be a little bit, and/or make it contingent upon perhaps 40 acres being able to be removed from planting. I'm not sure how to word it.
Well, if you wanted to enter the property, you certainly can, subject to what crop damage there is. They've actually, this kind of trails the activity
Mhm.
in preparing the fields for the season has occurred.
Yeah, they're probably already out there preparing.
Last-
And the crop season would probably all work with timelines, but I'm just thinking out loud. So are we covered if we did need to do something?
You didn't have an issue when Carperi came through. They
Correct.
went out into the field. They did their due diligence
Okay.
without damage report, so. And I heard nothing from the farmer or Carperi about that.
Okay, I'll remove my motion to approve with the contingencies then.
Thank you. Motion is removed, and that is for the amount of $150 per acre for 110 tillable acres, total of $16,500. Is there a motion to approve the farm lease for Huseman Farms?
Make a motion to approve the farm lease.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 6 is Carperi Agreement dated March 3rd, 2020. This is an extension request. The CEO of Carperi Canada, John Zhang, had reached out to me prior to our last council meeting. We did not have time to get it on the agenda. They would, of course, like another extension to the property that we just discussed along Parish Avenue. Their extension would be on or before October 31st, 2021. Carperi shall provide the town with a summary of costs, proposed uses, and scope of the project, conceptual development plan, and project preliminary pro forma with financial feasibility analysis. These, I think, were all items that have been included in the other extension request as well. So this is, I told Mr. Zhang that I would put it in front of the council, and it can be decided here whether or not we continue to extend.
Yeah, I personally think though, with the activity with our west side sewer interceptor with this location of where it is being surrounded by residential, I'd like to make a motion to deny the March 3, 2020 extension request by Carperi.
Motion to deny from Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Scheven. Are there questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. It's regretful. It was a good idea that was presented to us. There was a lot of work that went into it, but
Certainly was.
at a certain point, we have to take a step forward. So I'll inform Mr. Zhang of the action of the council this evening, and hopefully somewhere down the line, we cross paths again.
You never know.
Yep.
Hope so.
Item 7 is the American Rescue Plan continued discussion. Mr. Eberly.
Mr. President, you have a copy of the letter that you had at your last meeting from Frank McMahon indicating that we are to get $2,750,000 through this recent legislation. I We're expecting the first half of that anytime within the next 30 to 45 days. Second half within a year of that. I don't know that we have any more direction or explanation of what we can use the funds for than we had when we discussed this 2 weeks ago. But we wanted it placed on this agenda for further discussion in case anybody had any updated information.
So during our committee meeting to discuss the first draft of the sustainability report, this was brought up, and our financial advisors are aware of what is being allocated to Cedar Lake. We do need to create a resolution to create a fund to accept the money. So I think the next meeting, we should probably be preparing a resolution for April 20. That way if we do get the funds by that time, we have a place to deposit it. But our financial advisor also talked about its possible use for stormwater, and seeing that Cedar Lake is a large catch basin, the biggest one in this area, there's a possibility that that money could be directed towards the Lake Eco Restoration Project as a stormwater project. So again, we have to wait some direction, but it's a good option to lessen the burden of general obligation bonds in the future that could be used for other civic benefit purposes, such as facilities for police and fire or town hall or things like that. So if we can find ways to pool monies between this and redevelopment funds, we could do this without issuing any general obligation debt backed by property taxes, which could help to keep the property tax rate low and give everybody a little more space and breathing room to take care of needed long-term projects. So there's a good possibility that this could be coupled with some other things to create the funding source that we've been looking for.
Interesting. No, that's good news.
Any other discussion on this item? There's really nothing to vote on, so we'll wait until there's a resolution to vote on to create the fund. Item 8 is tourism funds requests. Kelly Dykstra requested funds for the musical performances at the farmers market. Mr. Everly.
Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Usher had a question, I believe.
On the previous item, Randy, was
Yeah.
that resolution for receipt and deposit of funds pending lawful use?
From what our financial advisor is saying, we just basically have to have a fund created because nobody knows what the federal government is going to lay out as the final rules.
I haven't seen any guidance, and I'm glad we got this letter, because that's the first official thing really we received. So I want to make sure that I draft this right.
Right. All I know about the resolution, Dave, is that it needs to be a resolution that establishes a fund so monies can be deposited. It doesn't necessarily say a purpose because nobody knows what the final purpose is going to be. This was an extremely well thought out piece of legislation by the
Yeah.
federal government.
It's mind blowing.
I've never drafted something so simple.
It's
It's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Trillions of dollars and nobody knows.
Lake
what they're
County,
gonna do with it.
94,160,000. Lake County only. What do we have? 17 communities in our county?
I mean, you look at the numbers, they're mind boggling.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the one that gets me the most is Gary Schools. And again, this is nothing against the city of Gary, but when Gary Schools is going to receive 95 million and they have one public high school, one in West Side. Holy smokes. That's a pretty large amount of money to deposit in an account with absolutely no idea how to use it. So should be interesting stuff coming up. Mary, you may have lots of stories to write with that money. Hopefully none of corruption, but I have a feeling you will be writing those stories. So any other discussion on item 7 before we move on to number 8?
No, I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Dave. I didn't see you
Yep.
over there. Just yell next time. Item 8 is tourism fund request, Kelly Dykstra for musical performance at Farmers Market. Mr. Everly.
Mr. President, this was the only request we've received so far this year for those funds. We don't expect those funds, I don't know, Margot, if we've even gotten an estimate on what those funds are going to be. Last year, they were
4725, they usually haven't gone up in the last
So I
several
think we're
years.
expecting them to go down, but in any case, we informed Kelly that the council might be entertaining other requests for this money, so we just told her that we probably not expect a decision out of tonight's meeting, maybe give it another 2 weeks or perhaps even to your May meeting to see if anybody else,
We didn't receive the funds last year till July.
we got them late, yeah.
Yeah, but we knew what they were gonna be.
Right.
Yeah.
This year, I know, in speaking with Mr. Batistatos, he's very unsure of what the distribution is gonna be because of the collection of less innkeeper's tax from the lockdowns, because a lot of hotels were completely closed. So there's just a lot of confusion as to what the final distribution will be yet.
We usually get fund requests from the Symphony and Historical Association and Summerfest, so
Yeah,
it'd be best to wait.
and in the past, we've been directing those funds in one direction since it's such a small amount, and then utilizing other like town promotion line items and other things that we have at our disposal to help support some of those other local events. So it's not much to distribute, 4,725, and if you get 10 requests, everybody gets a little pittance of it, so.
Motion to defer to the next meeting.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan to defer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheben. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Schemen,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0 to defer. We are adding to the next meeting.
Yes. Here we go.
I'm glad Jan will be back.
Reports, town council reports.
I got a request because we haven't done anything with the Bartlett Wahlberg Park with putting restroom facility. Well, wanting to know if we could put some couple porta pots out there so people have a place to use when they're having activities.
We're actually working on that, Bob. We have something a little bigger than just regular porta pots being dumped, but we'll find out something out there hopefully this summer.
But it's not a bad idea in the meantime, until we get something built, to have some kind of facility out there, because you see people out there all day and you got to know that they're taking care of their business somewhere, and it's probably not where we want them to.
I hear they're trying to go to other businesses
Sure.
to use their facilities and they're turning them down.
Yeah, and that means that some people are going to take care of their business one way or another. So in the
We can
meantime,
arrange for a couple of porta potties out there.
yeah, it wouldn't hurt just to get us by until we get some infrastructure in the ground there to create a bathroom facility. Because that park is going to be used probably more than what we think this summer. People are still going to be doing some local activities, I think, rather than doing a lot of
It was
traveling.
full on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
The park was very full on Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully we get a picnic shelter up there and a restroom,
You
and
talking Bartlett?
and then that pier built. That'll be fantastic for that park.
That would be great.
Yeah, also, Mr. President, I think, we're trying to maybe make a dog park, but we need to readdress at one of the next meetings soon, the agreement with the county for the animal control.
Any other council reports? Town attorney,
No report.
clerk treasurer,
No reports.
town manager.
Really quickly, following up on what Mr. Foreman just said, there was a committee meeting to talk about parks in general, and Ms. Sheben mentioned that we've got a really nice plan for the Bartlett Wahlberg Park with a washroom facility and a pavilion. We've got an architect that Tim Kubiak and I met with. We got some free survey work done out there, correct? That we requested. Who was it that is doing that for us?
Glenn Warren from DBG now.
Yeah, he just volunteered his time to follow up on a survey that he had done a few years ago, I think, on the property. But in any case, that's going to be a nice, Tim's got a really nice what I'll call back of the napkin sort of design for the washroom facility, but it's really gonna be nice. And he's got an architect that's working on that. And then the Kiwanis Park, we had a request from a resident a few weeks ago to convert that to a dog park, and we thought that that was a good idea to convert part of it. It's too big to convert the whole thing. It's what, 5 acres, Tim?
Correct.
Yeah. We're not gonna do the whole thing, but we've got some plans to do that. All of this, by the way, with Park Impact, the monies, Mr. President, and so we're looking forward to that. I'm also gonna give Mr. Kubiak kudos, even though he doesn't want them, for 7 streetlights that he's been able to find a contact, a really reliable contact at NIPSCO. And NIPSCO's gonna put these streetlights in for us. These are ones, 4 of which came up at the last council meeting. Or actually 2 of them, but 4 of them, Tim, are in, is it Lindsway or
Correct, 4 in Linsway, 2 in Deerview, and 1
on Lee Court?
on Lee Court.
Yeah, but those are gonna go in at
Right.
NIPSCO's expense, not ours. Of course,
Oh,
we'll
that's
have to pay the power bill for
Right.
them, but that was real good news.
Yeah, that's right.
I also asked Jill, and Ralph also asked Jill for a streetlight location at Fairbanks and 133rd. The Gold Low shut their lights off, and TJT quit running their dawn to dusk, and I'm getting requests again for a street light there. I had also requested one at 129th going into Lemon Lake Estates due to the fact that MacArthur School was turning off their lights. But now this new superintendent is leaving the lights on again, so we may not need that one there. Ralph, you wanna speak up for yours?
Jill's working on mine.
Then in a couple of weeks, at the April 20th meeting, we'll have a public hearing on our CDBG for the next round of funding. We plan to simply continue the ADA curb cuts and ramps throughout town. With that money, we're expecting $57,450. And then the 5th District Annual Report, I know I believe you've gotten, or the RDC has gotten a copy of the financial report that was due by April 1st. But there's another report that's due to the council and the DLGF on the 15th. And I'm working on that in my office. It's just a little bit additional information that state law calls for to be given to the council and to the DLGF. So that's going to be done by April 15th.
And the community block grant money is for a 2-year period.
Right. We could get it as early as September 1st, and we have to spend it by June 15th of next year. That's next year's money. We're already working on a project to spend this year's money. That's it, Mr. President.
We had a council affairs committee meeting where the sustainability report was discussed. It was a very enlightening meeting. I would say we all learned a lot. It was a draft, so there were some suggestions made to our financial advisor to kind of tweak a few things and work on a couple of things. And again, this document that's going to come out is not necessarily a policy document, it's a guideline. It's meant to give us an idea on how to run this like a business. And what you're going to see in this is some detailed information that I don't think any of us have really ever understood about the whole big picture of local government. Really awesome work that was done. Very competent financial advisors that are working on this, and Corby Thompson and Buzz Crone. And it's exciting once this is out there and we start the budget planning process to use this as a tool for planning is going to be, I think, fun because it gives us the opportunity to really sink our teeth into how to make this thing grow and keep up with what we're doing here. So I'm going to have I'm working on, based on the information I saw, a kind of a project-based agenda, like when, not this past, before COVID, I handed out that the strategic objectives. So this will be kind of a second part of that goes into the details, since the sustainability report was really the big one that we needed. that will identify kind of some possible mechanisms on how we can get some really big things done here with minimal impact. And some of it might be a little bit bold, but why not? There's an opportunity there now that we have an understanding of how this fits, how our tax rates can be affected, what our revenue sources are going to be. There's opportunities in this to get some very large projects done that we haven't even been able to really consider until now, that will set up the sustainability of the community. So there's some exciting things, and the council will have that report on April 20th.
Good.
And I hope everybody's ready to dig into it, because there is an opportunity right now to set some roots and make sure that the people that follow us in these seats have a fantastic foundation to start from, and we can do it right and do it for them, and make sure the community for the next 50 years is set up. So pretty
Looking
cool
forward
stuff.
to it.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
That'll be good.
Let's see. Director of Operations.
Just one thing, add to Rick's, the Kiwanis Park, I talked to the Lennar guys over there, and they're willing to give us all of the topsoil from their development over there for, get topsoil in Bartlett, or in Kiwanis Park, to get that final graded and ready for some grass. So we're gonna move forward with getting that portion of it done, so it'll be level and have some nice grass growing. So,
They've been very
idea.
good partners here. Lennar has.
yeah, super good. They even offered to load our trucks or help out with whatever they could, so that's nice.
Good.
Yeah, that's great.
Sent to Alaska, and they said no problem. So.
Very cool. Police Department,
Nothing at this time, sir.
Fire Department.
Oh, yeah, I have one thing to say. I was recently served a suspension of a week. And in hindsight, I would have provided a statement to the media in reference to why I was suspended. The suspension was not clearly identified in the media. And for the record, I was suspended for failure to notify the Public Safety Board of an incident involving a volunteer, as well as not disciplining the volunteer. So, like I said, in hindsight, I should have given a statement to the media. I apologize to the media for that, because I know better, because I've dealt with the media for a very long time, and I've had a lot of good interactions and good stories go to the media. So if that ever happened again, I would definitely change that. I'd like to thank my firefighters, my chief staff, my officers, and my department for stepping up while I was gone. A lot of things happened, a lot of things was going on. And I really appreciate the professionals, and they showed in our department, showed during this process. I did not accept the fact that I was suspended for the reasons I was, but I served that time, and we're going to move on and move forward. I did have a lot of time to reflect and put some things into perspective, and we'll change some things in the future. So thank you again for stepping up, everybody, and we'll definitely give the media an article in the future if something ever like this happens again. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
I have one thing under my report, and that is, can we expect a salary ordinance change by the next meeting in reference to the raises for my firefighters?
I believe it's the intention of Ms. Sandberg to have some information ready for the April 20th meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if there'll be a salary ordinance for that exact meeting. I think there's some discussion items that'll need to be talked about in the meeting. So I would expect her to have some materials prepared for the April 20th meeting. So if there's something to be acted on, it may not be then, it may be the first May meeting, but it should be shortly forthcoming.
But you anticipate it happening this year?
I anticipate there being an item for consideration very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Any other written communication? Open public comment. If you have public comment, state your name and address for the record.
Richard Teal, 13513 Industrial Drive, Cedar Lake. I just wanted to make a comment on something that was mentioned in item 1 under new business with the recycling and garbage. As far as electronics, over at Midwest PGM, we actually purchase a lot of electronics as far as computers, towers, printers, keyboards. The only thing we, however, do not do is the monitors and televisions, but we get phone calls all the time, ever since Public Works got rid of, with Lake County Solid Waste, got rid of all the drop-off recycling facilities, calls on that and stuff. But we don't just accept them. We do purchase items like that. Just no televisions or monitors, but towers, everything, they all have their own price.
I've got several of those gigantic televisions still in my house that I can't get
And
rid
those,
of anywhere.
those we do not do, but, I didn't know, I
Did you
have,
get a good deal on, Randy?
Listen, they were bought a long time ago and they're heavy and they probably still work.
And
No, they
those,
work.
those televisions can go to Public
Yes.
Works, right, Tim?
and we usually direct people whenever anybody calls to see what they could do. The problem with those is for somebody like me, there's a cost associated with that. So I'd have to pass it on to people, but I didn't know, I do have some brochures and stuff here.
Okay.
When they did close the drop-off facilities and stuff like that. But also I didn't know if, besides the other advertising we do, as far as when recycling garbage does change, if there was anything to put out in like a news bulletin. Also that we do work with Hanover School as far as a recycling fund program. So if people had items like that, say you didn't want anything for it, you just wanted to get rid of it, they could say, hey, we want to donate it to any one of the 4 Hanover schools. And in that way, it's a way for them to raise funds as well.
Oh, great. I never knew that.
So,
It's awesome, Rich. Yeah, we have a quarterly newsletter, so that is an item that could be included with the new trash contract is the different items that a local business in Midwest PGM takes, as well as ways to dispose of old TVs, so that we are not running into things where citizens are putting that stuff in the garbage.
yeah, and we did update our website, just revamped it and everything. So there's a list of everything that we do purchase and stuff like that.
Well, thanks, Rich.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Public comment? Any public comment? Third call? Public comment is closed. Our next council public meeting will be Tuesday, April 20th. We have several items already. At 7 p.m. Prior to the council meeting at 6:30 p.m. will be a utility board meeting. With that, everyone have a safe night, and this meeting is adjourned.